Let's go, let's go.
I can put them on by myself.
You can do these by yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
Did Baby Brooks get a muffin yet?
Juice box, yogurt, cheese stick.
I think it starts with being honest with them as they grow up, sharing with them the truth about the journey that I've been on. Dear Jesus, thank you for this morning.
Where we are right now this was like the hope that I had to hold on to when we were in that moment, you know, three and a half years ago. I couldn't imagine this scenario. I had hope for it, but I couldn't see it.
Faith and I are high school sweethearts. You know, we met in church camp.
He was, you know, very funny, very caring, very loving.
The young couple would attend Liberty University, where Brady walked onto the football team. His time playing for the Flames would leave a lasting impression.
What it's like to be a part of a team, to know that your first reaction and your first instinct in a situation is to put the team first. That's a principle that few people in life ever learn.
And a principle that would guide his next big decision.
I had kind of thought, okay, he'll do something along in the business realm, like in that world, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, he drops this, I want to go be an infantry officer in the Army.
Nobody can look at somebody in the military and really question their purpose.
I realized his reasons behind doing it, and we just had a piece about it.
I left for basic training, and then we got married right after that.
Shortly thereafter, Brady received his orders. He was deploying to Afghanistan.
I think those are the moments in life where you know you're doing what God's purposed you to do at that time in your life, when there's that sort of pressure and that type of situation, and you and your wife feel absolutely at peace. Our day-to-day was centered around patrolling. I had to have a really heavy dose of self-awareness about where I was, my ability to lead and contribute. You know, because I was a platoon leader. There I was. I mean, they give me, you know, 25 men, and we're there in, you know, a part of Afghanistan that's not very friendly. We eventually got, you know, moved down to assist another platoon that was in a pretty good fight. And that's where things really kind of took off. It wasn't long before we were in an ambush. They attacked us from several different positions with, you know, small arms fire and RPG fire, and one of those RPGs, you know, struck my vehicle and you know, entered the troop compartment, hit my headrest.
The impact left a fellow soldier with life-threatening injuries, while Brady was hit by shrapnel and suffered a concussion. After getting his friend to a medic, Brady continued to fight.
We pursued the enemy a little bit further before we knew it was time to get back. I think once we got back and we really did an assessment, you know, between the concussion and the location of the shrapnel being close to my spine, you know, put me in a kind of a bad spot.
Brady would call his wife and let her know he was wounded, but uncertainty still surrounded his injury.
The days following was when the concussion symptoms really kind of turned on me a little bit, and then, you know, with the infection taking place on my spine.
He was flown to Germany for recovery, leaving Faith searching for answers.
My faith grew a lot that first deployment because praying for him and being in the Word was really the absolute only thing I could do for him.
Brady would recover from his injuries and eventually redeploy, but with his first child on the way, he soon realized that it was time to leave the Army.
Getting out was no easy decision. I kind of noticed, especially after my second deployment, that I was struggling, you know, on a lot of different levels.
He was now back home, but while outwardly Brady had recovered from his injuries, a much deeper wound was taking hold.
PTSD wasn't on our radar, or at least it wasn't on mine, because I was just, you know, I didn't think it was going to happen to us, to be honest. I was very naive and just was just thankful he was alive.
I started downward spiral the first few months. The first thing that you do when you understand that you're out of the Army or you're out of the service is that you're alone. And that can become very comforting. Isolation can become comforting, but it is destructive.
It was a very defeating and helpless time watching him and watching the effects of PTSD just, destroy the man that he was, break it down.
I hit rock bottom, and once I was there, I had a decision to make. I can either turn it around, or I can lose everything.
At the moment when I saw him at rock bottom, I knew without a question something has to change. He can't keep going like this. Our family's not gonna make it.
It was then that Brady would take the first steps of his long journey to recovery.
When you have combat trauma and you've seen things that, have impacted you, it can change who you believe yourself to be. And addressing that soul wound is the beginning step.
Along with a strong support system, Brady found help through Reboot Combat Recovery, a faith-based program that addresses the spiritual wounds of war. For Brady, it was a breakthrough in the fight against PTSD.
Well, it's interesting that you share that. I appreciate you sharing, because we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to have loved and then to have lost.
Staying involved with Reboot is important to Brady. He now serves as a local group leader, assisting others in their healing.
Not only is it empowering for me to be able to kind of show them that path, but what it does for me is it gives relevance to my journey and the experience that we've had. All right, ready?
All right,
let's go.
Brady is winning the battle against PTSD.
It's pretty chilly, huh?
And while the struggle never fully ends, one thing is certain: he will continue to fight.
John 10:10 tells you that the enemy seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. I see that played out in my life, but I also see an unquestionable hand. Oh, here comes the bus. Of redemption and movement in my life. Have a good day, okay? Where God has used his word and people he's put in my life to say that's not gonna happen to you.